Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Yetunde Adeolu. If you're a new subscriber, hi, welcome. I hope you actually stay to the end and actually end up subscribing to my YouTube channel. And if you guys are already existing subscribers, hi, thank you so much for still sticking with me. Thank you for finding value in what I've been doing this past few months. I'm so grateful that you guys are sticking it with me, and happy new year to you all. So today I have a new video for you guys. This is an A-shaped skirt. Basically it's like a skirt that is like straight and then flared or like wider at the ends, or at the bottom of the skirt. So for this skirt, because we want the ends to be as big as possible, we are folding the fabric. Instead of folding it straight the way we would do on a normal day, we're gonna fold it on a bias fold. So that's basically creating a slight slant so that the skirt can be as wide as possible and to have that flow that comes with a bias fold. It's also called a grain fold. I'm not really sure if people really call it that, but when you're trying to achieve a grain line, it's on a slant, so it's something like that. So the first thing you should take note of is that when you're on a bias fold, you can't really have equal lengths without considering the fold. If you fold it this way and you're trying to like measure your fabric on a normal way, it's not gonna work. So the first thing to do is to measure the length on that new fold, that one that is higher, and then that becomes your normal line. Where you measure it from the end there, and then I'll show you how to really do it. But the first tip is to measure it from that end and get your length, and then later you now start to figure out how to get everything else. I was able to adjust my camera so that I could get like a wider view for you guys, but I'm not using like a main DXLR camera. I'm using my phone, so it's still not able to really focus on the full thing, but I hope you guys can still see. So at this point now, I'm just gonna measure out the length and then create a straight line from that length to try and have my new straight point, because it's on a slant. I can't really measure it from down. I have to measure it from that other place and then create a new straight line that works, and that's what I'm doing now. With every skirt, the next thing you're going to do is to measure out the hip point, or should I say the place where you're going to start measuring out your hip. So for a not so tall person, you're going to use 8 inches, but for an average height person or someone who is tall or someone who has big butts, or any of those things, you are going to use 9 inches. So that's going to give the hip or the butt or whatever enough wiggle room to move around in the skirt. Now after this, I'm just going to measure out the length of the skirt. So this is 42.5 inches. So that's 41 inches for 1.5 pounds. So I'm just going to mark it all around the skirt so that I can create a new skirt line. Now it's not going to be straight, it's going to be a little curved because of the bias shape, but not too curved, just a little curved. So just take note of that. I'm just measuring out the hip, 11.25 plus allowance. At this point, we're ready to measure out the knee length. So that will be the length divided by 2, that's 20.5. I decided to use the tape rule just so I can be sure. It's not that I don't know the maths, of course, but okay. Next on the list, after measuring the length and the hip and the waist, and now the knee length, the next thing is to measure out the width at the knee length point. So just to make sure that you have like moving space from your legs, for your legs to move around. It's a bulky dress. or a bulky skirt. So the next thing is that you are going to measure the waist measurement plus the allowance you gave. So whatever your waist measurement is plus your 2.5 inches allowance, because we're leaving 2.5 inches for the darts and turning the lining and everything. Yes, you're just going to add everything to it for the hip, so that for the knees, so that you can have like movement when you're in the dress. So that's just what you're just gonna measure out now. So anything you measured for the waist, you're measuring it for the knees. At this point, you're practically done. The next thing is to just create the flare part of the skirt. Join it to the end of that bias that we have done. Exactly, like that's all you have to do. But now when you're creating it, you're not gonna do like a sharp shape where it's like that drawing that went around when we were children, when you're trying to draw a fish and you like do number 2 and then another number 2 and then like join it together. So it's not going to be as sharp as that. No, you're going to try to make sure that it's as curved as possible. So even when you join it to the knee point, you're going to try and smooth out the curve, smooth it out a little, and then bring it all together. So that's it. Right now I've cut it and I'm packing it away so I can fold the fabric for the back, but this time I'm not using a bias fold. It's just going to be normal because I already achieved it to the front. Having done this, the next thing is to place the front back pattern on the folded fabric we put already. So now for the back, we have to make sure 2 things are available. First of all, zip allowance, if you remember. But then the zip allowance is not going to be straight. If you notice, I placed it in a slanted position. This is because I still want to let the fish also come out at that center back area. So I'm going to make sure that the slant comes out. So I'm trying to make sure that it's as wide as possible, especially since this is not on a bias fold, like with the front. So I have to make sure it's as wide as possible. So the second thing you're going to take note of is that the length of the back is longer than the front. This is because we're trying to make a mini train. If you want to extend your train though, you can extend it to as much as 10 inches over, but for this we're going to do 2 inches over. I most times do 3 inches over, but then because the fabric, the lace fabric that I was going to use on this was not so much, I didn't want to waste it, so I reduced it by 1 inch, which is not a lot. It still gives the same design we are trying to achieve, but then it still gives allowance for the fabric to be enough, because after measuring everything, you want to make sure that it's enough for what you want to do. So I'm just going to align this and then you see it. Now I'm just marking out my knee points like I did with the first one. This is first of all to notice where my train is going to join back to the skirt itself, and also to know the distance that I'm going to use for my zip allowance. I used 9 inches for the zip allowance. That's from the waist down. So after doing that, I measured my 1.5 inches, the usual. And so after that, I'm just going to reshape the bottom half and then you're going to see it. I'm marking this now. You're not just going to leave it at that exact point. You're going to add at least 1/2 inch or 1 inch for joining the 2 sides together. That's the 2 back sides together. Because, it's going to be split in the middle. It's not like the front where there's no split. So you have to add that allowance there so you don't lose measurement. Now it's time to join everything together, and I'm just going to make a nice slant. It's not going to be so sharp like I said before. It's just going to be a nice little curve because you want it to just rest on the floor. You don't want it to be too shouty or sharp at the end, because this is not up to 10 inches. You're not extending the satin up to 10 inches, so you don't really need that much. Plus, if you were even extending it up to 10 inches, by the time you make it all the way down, you will see how the thing will just rest on the floor instead of hanging up. I don't know how to explain what I'm saying, but I hope you understand. Now at this point, the next thing to do is to just trim out everything. I hope I get to show it to you. I'm not really sure if I was able to show it to you, but you're going to connect the end of that to the end of your front skirt. So it's going to end at the side end of your front skirt. That's how it's gonna be. That's how it's gonna join. It's like a curve, kind of like a C shape or something like that.
Oh yeah, grace and balance, yeah. If you know see grace, no balance, yeah. All my people para, all of my boys them para. Oh yeah, grace and balance, yeah. If you know see grace, no balance, yeah. All my people.
So transferring it to the lace, I don't really have many tips because it's like a tracing kind of thing. The only thing I would say is that the end of the skirt is gonna be where the yardage is. That's that applique part where it has like the pattern. So you're just gonna place your satin over the fabric and maybe leave about 1 inch, so that by the time you turn the satin, it's not showing out of the lace itself. So that's majorly it. Now we have come to the end of the video. At this point, I just want to say thank you to you guys. Honestly, you guys keep me going. Happy New Year to you all. I hope that this new year I won't be so swamped with work that I forget to edit. It's like I just make all the videos and then I forget to edit the videos. But this time I promise consistency. So don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, comment, share. Thank you so much. Bye. I want to say that if you guys love the song is by Horley. Jason is a friend of mine. I will link the songs or put the link to the songs in the description. Please try to support him if you can, if you loved it. Thank you.